I didn't know that here in America
kunaweza kuwa execution ya mtu kwa kumuua.
There can be an execution style to kill someone. You see that my son has been killed like an animal by this police officer. I'm asking for justice.
Naomba sheria.
I'm asking for justice.
No father should have to make the plea for justice that Peter Lyoya did this week after videos of his son Patrick being shot by a police officer were released by the Grand Rapids, Michigan Police Department. Now, we're going to play one of those videos. I know people have strong opinions about seeing these videos, but I feel it's important for our viewers to see the ugliness that happened that day. And we warn you, the following video is, of course, extremely disturbing.
Yeah, how many cars you got going?
Drop taser!
Everyone.
Devastating. The officer who killed Lyoya has not been publicly identified. Michigan State Police are investigating. And joining me now is co-founder and CEO of the Center for Policing Equity, Philip Atiba Goff, who has been with me far too many times to talk about an incident that happens far too frequently in our society. Philip, lovely to see you this morning. Sad to see you yet again under these circumstances. And I'm going to ask you a very difficult question that you likely will not have an answer to. And that is, what exactly will it take to stop this level of execution-style killing of black men and black women at the hands of law enforcement?
Well, you're right. That's a difficult question to answer. The best way that I know to answer that is when we have spent the equivalent of 400 years erecting systems to take care of our most vulnerable people, instead of creating systems that punish them when they're an inconvenience to the white majority, then we're going to be in a much better spot to see that reduced or eliminated. But obviously, we spent 400 plus years creating systems of punishment and erasure, systems that deal with generational neglect in these communities with incredible violence, that lock people in cages instead of giving them the services they need to create lives of independence and to maximize their brilliance. We have created systems of punishment instead of systems of care. And so we end up with punishment that is in error and spreads broadly and does all of the damage that makes us mourn.
It's, you know, there are so many things that happen so often, Philip, and that I think oftentimes we become immune or, you know, we lose our sensitivity to things. Never once have I lost the shock and outrage, seeing this so many times, to relive these killings so many times, to know that at the moment's notice that any of us can become a hashtag is just heartbreaking. Ben Crump has really become the face of a lot of these cases, and he spoke out. He's the family's attorney. He spoke out this week about this terrible, tragic killing. And let's take a listen, and we'll talk about it after.
This officer
huyu ofisier
failed to follow the basic training.
alianguka kufuata ile yenye wanawafundisha kwa masomo.
When he engages Patrick,
Wakati alienda mbele ya Patrick, alipata Patrick,
he goes and put hands on him.
anamtia Patrick mikono kumwili,
And when Patrick goes to walk away,
na wakati Patrick alitafuta kukimbia kidogo, anatafuta kupita pembeni,
he could have just stepped back
angerudia nyuma kidogo
and called for backup.
I do want to tell our viewers that the reason why he was pulled over is because his plates didn't match, mismatched plates. That's what cost him his life, Philip. You know, it feels like body cams have only given us a better view of black and brown people getting murdered. It feels like some of the incremental policy steps that we've taken have not calmed us down. After George Floyd, you know, the world united and, you know, yes, now we'll see change. I think there was a certain sect of society of folks who look like you and me that had our healthy doubts about that. You know, I'm kind of at a loss of words on how we turn this thing around. So absent what you're saying, creating a system, what is the immediate action that needs to happen here, or for just black folks every day who are getting in their cars to do whatever they want, who are fearful of being murdered that day?
Yeah, I mean, so there are any number of things that could have prevented this particular tragedy. You saw Mr. Crump talk about the ability to just not start a tussle. You call for backup. This individual is unarmed. It was demonstrably unarmed at the time. You don't need to go hands-on immediately. You also have a number of cities, cities where we've worked, like Berkeley, California, where they reduced and eliminated low-level traffic enforcement. You can send a ticket, so you don't have somebody armed responding. That change in Berkeley sparked changes of a similar variety in Philadelphia, in Seattle, in Pittsburgh, in Brooklyn Center. LA is, in fact, starting a pilot project that would just take police out of this.
Yeah.
But if you watch the full video, this is one where it's so ugly. The muzzle of the gun appears to be at the base of this man's neck, right? That's why the family say it was execution style. The officer, after getting up, having very clearly ended this individual's life, first statement is to tell the person recording, get back, get away. And then the officer appears to lower his voice before calling in, as if maintaining a secret. That's part of the reason why there's so much rage behind these things, is because you can have policies that change it. You can even remove law enforcement from it. But the point is, you've got folks who feel as if they're part of a conspiracy to commit murder, who will, it seems, get away with it because the suspect in the video has their hand on something that could debilitate the officer. That feels like the kind of secret the officer is keeping, feels like the kind of secret the state has been keeping. It feels like the worst forms of the ugliness. So all and together need to happen to reduce the likelihood of this happening next time.
Well, I really appreciate the context that you put that in. I have one more question for you. A lot has been made about defund the police. We're in a midterm year. This is something that, Republicans champion, and some well-intentioned perhaps, but misinformed people talk about how, black voters may feel about that. And I'm just curious your thoughts, because there's a lot to do, but not a lot of explanation of what it means. And so I'm just curious your thoughts on what you think about that as we head into this midterm election cycle.
Okay, so as we're heading into the midterms, a thing to get really clear on the slogan of defund, that was not a Democratic slogan. The Democratic DNC did not come up with it. It wasn't for the purposes of electoral politics. Activists came up with it with the goal of activating folks who had seen enough and were enraged, and boy, did it work. People were activated, and we saw the largest protest movement in the history of humanity in response to it. The goal was to say that these systems of punishment are too large and we need to shrink them. That is different than an electoral strategy. And my hope is that if we've got any chance of trying to make long-term change, that everyone gets involved with coming up with their own messaging. In this moment when murder has spiked, that's not going to be the message that electoral politics carries the day. It will continue to be what protesters have to say when they say, let's get them out of low-level traffic stops. That's not the same as a strategy. That's okay. It's okay that defund the police is not what Democrats are going to say when they're trying to get elected.